Hello, welcome to my channel, Lux to O. And today I'm going to talk to you about the Jo Malone Cologne Intense line. I do not have every single fragrance from this particular line, but I do want to share with you those that I do enjoy very much. These are not necessarily new fragrances. They've had the Cologne Intense for a while. I have found in the past that I was disillusioned with Jo Malone because when I've tried their other fragrances, not the Cologne Intense, but the other ones like Bluebell, I believe is one, and one had Nectarine in it, which is a great scent. Their scents were absolutely, I felt, just so appealing. If it said nectarine, that's exactly what it smelled like. And wonderful. However, they did not last more than a couple of hours on my skin. So I really decided after purchasing two of those and them not lasting or giving much sillage after a couple of hours that I wouldn't try to spend my money on that. However, I was surprised this summer because I bought their Honeysuckle and Divana, and it ended up to be a lot longer lasting than I experienced in the past. And I'm not sure if it's because of the notes, because the Honeysuckle and Divana are not in their Cologne Intense collection. It's just in their regular collection. But it lasted a while. I did not find it weak. I wandered into Sephora again because I thought, well, let me just see what I think about some of their other scents, like Wood Sage and Sea Salt, which is lovely. I'll be picking that up, but probably more in the spring, summer. And they also have a body butter in that scent as well, and in some of these other fragrances. So you can use that if you'd like to layer, and maybe you'll get a little bit more longer wear time on those scents. Jo Malone fragrances are made to layer with each other. So if you like Wood Sage and Sea Salt, it's very possible that another one from this line, even the Cologne Intense line, would layer together very nicely. And with the heavier Cologne Intense, you might find you have a longer lasting time and can still smell your Wood Sage and Sea Salt if that's one you like. They are designed to be layered, and they're designed in a light way with the Cologne line so that one will not overpower another scent. I don't know that I would layer Wood Sage and Sea Salt with a Nectarine one that I enjoy, but certainly there is something within their vast line that you could find a layer that you would enjoy and perhaps still get wafts of them both. I did find on my recent trip to Sephora that they had so many intense formulations that I could really get my nose on. And so I decided I would go down that rabbit hole. And my first scent that I actually purchased from the Cologne Intense line was Scarlett Poppy. I don't have that with me to show you the bottle. I do love that fragrance, and that is probably number 2 on my list of fragrances that I have tried from their Intense Cologne collection. That's absolutely a delight. It has top notes of ambrette seed, and ambrette is a musky floral scent usually. Here it is more nutty to me in the Scarlett Poppy. And that's what made me fall in love with that scent, is that nuttiness. Ambrette seed is actually considered an aphrodisiac, which is interesting. Scarlett Poppy has in the heart note poppy, Scarlett Poppy. I'm not sure exactly what that smells like, but the poppies are the red flowers that we have probably seen. I know it was on World War I battlefield that they talked about after, I guess, the ground had healed, that the poppies just came up voluntarily. No one sowed the seeds for it, and they are red. They are scarlet in color, which may have been kind of symbolic of that battleground. But the base notes here are very, very warm and comforting. Tonka bean brings in that warmth that we're familiar with the accents of that almond and vanilla, and also a light bit of tobacco. Some scents I'm finding I like tobacco in, and some I do not. This one is one that is a very light tobacco. It's kind of, to me, a barely there tobacco. So I feel like if you don't like tobacco, it may still be a fragrance you like. So I would go into like a Sephora or Bloomingdale's or Saks and go ahead and get your nose on that particular one, which is Scarlett Poppy. And at first, I was smelling my wrist. I had two on. One was Myrrh Tonka, and on the other one I had Scarlett Poppy. And I kept thinking when I went into Sephora after reading about the Cologne Intense by Jo Malone, I really thought I would be going in there to purchase Myrrh and Tonka because I love both of those. I love the spiciness of that myrrh. I kept going back in to smell my wrist, and I thought, oh yes, I definitely have to have Myrrh and Tonka. I sprayed again and realized it wasn't Myrrh Tonka that I kept going back in for. I enjoyed it, but it was the Scarlett Poppy that ended up being one that was actually my first purchase in their Cologne Intense. Absolutely beautiful. Moderate longevity and sillage. Very feminine fragrance, and I find it to be very beautiful. The next fragrance I'm going to tell you about is the one I originally went in for that I did go back to buy, and it is called Myrrh and Tonka. I hope you can see it on these dark bottles. I think it's kind of hard to see, but it's an Oriental unisex perfume, fall and winter. Top notes are lavender with hints of camphor. That's kind of odd, but it's very refreshing. It has lavender, hints of camphor, honey, and hay. Love the scent of hay in a fragrance. It really kind of makes me want to purchase a particular fragrance. And it probably stems back from my childhood, but I love that scent of hay. This gives it an aromatic note to it. I recently discovered hay in another fragrance, and when I smell it here in Myrrh Tonka, it certainly does remind me of home. And the lavender in the top note is not too much at all. It actually works very well together. Try before you buy and determine if it fits your personality and what you're looking for. But they are more moderately lasting. In the Myrrh Tonka, we have middle notes of myrrh, and it gives it that pleasant woody note. Base notes in here are vanilla, tonka bean, and almond. We're familiar with those notes in fragrances, and they are as you would expect. They are very comforting, soothing, warm, and the vanilla in here is not too strong on my skin. It's not too sweet either, which sometimes vanilla can be. And the moderate sillage is present here, and it is moderate on my skin. I do like the way the sprayer is. I hope you can see it, is diffuse. Excellent, and that is an absolutely fantastic Oriental warm unisex fragrance that I would be looking for. Certainly appropriate for fall and winter. Beautiful scent. I think the myrrh and the tonka notes seem to last longer on my skin. I think that works so well on me. I have particular fragrances in my collection with those particular notes. My skin does well with incensey type of perfumes, and this certainly is no different. It works very well. This would be nice actually layered with Scarlett Poppy. That is a combination I've only tried once, and I do think that they seem to get along very well together. So that's a combination I'm going to be trying again, and let me know if you'd like follow up on what Jo Malone's I'm layering, and I might be layering them with other fragrance house perfumes as well to see how they all seem to relate together and what combinations seem to work well and bring out the best possible notes in my Jo Malone fragrances. The next fragrance is Red Hibiscus, and I believe that this one is very popular. In fact, it was out of stock at the Sephora I went to, and then I went to a different Sephora and it was also out of stock there. Red Hibiscus, fall, winter, spring, Oriental floral unisex, but much more feminine leaning on me. I did go to two Sephoras. At the first Sephora, They did not even have the tester bottle out on that cord that you would, bring it to you and spray. I had to go to the second Sephora to actually get my nose on it and even get a sniff of it, and I could just spray it barely one time. But I felt that I would really enjoy it, and I do. So for me to go to two Sephoras to try to even get my nose on this red hibiscus perfume tells you how impressed I was with Scarlett Poppy and also Myrrh Tonka. I'm going to say I blind bought it because I could barely smell it in the store because, as I mentioned, one was empty. It was not even out to try, and then the second one really was pretty much emptied, and I did get a sniff from the nozzle, which doesn't tell you a whole lot. It was a blind buy, but I think it's a successful blind buy. Would I buy a second bottle of it when I'm done with this? I don't know that I would. I think I prefer the other two, and then another one that I have coming up I'll tell you about. I can see why it would be popular, but it probably just isn't on my chemistry as appealing as I thought it would be. It does have notes of a sultry red hibiscus, like the hibiscus flower, which is rare and it's a bright color. I don't usually have red hibiscus in my backyard in the summer around the pool. I usually will have like the pink hibiscus just because I think I just prefer that color. It is a sensual note of jasmine in here and also of vanilla. I haven't worn this enough to give you a fair opinion of it. I do say moderate sillage, moderate projection. I do have a tendency to spray a lot of my fragrances on in the morning when I'm leaving the house, and that causes me oftentimes to go nose blind until it kind of calms down, and then I usually try to reinvigorate it with another spray from my purse. So when I do that, it's absolutely phenomenal. But if I don't do that, I may go nose blind to it, and after a few hours I'll go someplace and run an errand or pick up lunch and get a compliment on that scent that I may not be able to smell anymore. So I think it's more just me. I haven't given that full wear test to really get an idea of what I think its lasting power is. But what people are indicating to me, I think that they do find it enjoyable, but that's only been like a couple hours after I spray it. So I can't tell you red hibiscus is necessarily as long-lasting as Myrrh Tonka or Scarlett Poppy, but you might find it is on your skin, and I'd get my nose on it if I were you. This one is very popular, but it's just probably not one that's going to be my favorite because I do like the stronger scents and I do love that spice. The next fragrance that I absolutely fell in love with, I had to waffle back and forth of if this was a fragrance I was actually going to buy or not, even though with my very first sniff, it was an immediate love. This is Cypress and Grapevine, and it is in the darker bottle, and I think it's more of a green bottle. It looks kind of blackish, but it's a dark green, I believe. Fall, winter. I think the bottle is beautiful for this time of year too. Very appropriate. It is unisex, and yes, it is definitely more masculine leaning, but I absolutely adore it. At my local Sephora, the person I spoke to, she seemed to have a lot of knowledge in perfumes, so I quite enjoyed talking to her. She asked me what some of my favorite scents were, and I told her that particular day that I really just wanted to get my nose on Scarlett Poppy and Myrrh Tonka. And she said, have you tried this one, the Cypress and Grapevine? And I said, no, I haven't. I don't know if I'm interested. And she said, oh, I would love it if you would try it. Great salesperson. She said, because I would love to know your opinion. And that's all she had to say to me to get me to smell it. And it is beautiful, fresh, clean, in a fallish kind of way, invigorating, and it is absolutely a wonderful fragrance. She said it is like a hidden secret perfume at their Sephora. The salesperson at Sephora, who is very knowledgeable about fragrances, wanted to know my opinion on one particular scent by Jo Malone, Cypress and Grapevine. And when I sniffed it and I looked at her, she could immediately tell what I was thinking. And I said, "Oh my goodness." And she shook her head and said, "Yes, I know." And we shared a laugh about it. And we acknowledged that this is one absolutely amazing fragrance. It is a sensational secret, I think. It's a hidden secret that if you don't get your nose on, you won't be able to enjoy it. I usually just try to spray once or twice when I'm in a store to be considerate of those around me. And let's be honest also, so people won't see how much I actually spray and they look at me like I'm crazy. But when she turned her back to help another customer, I had to get in a few more sprays. And to me, if she didn't see it, then I never sprayed the 6 sprays. I went to another Sephora to spray it again to make sure it was something I truly enjoyed and that I wasn't being influenced by her pleasant personality or shared laugh. And I would tell you, it does lean masculine, but once again, I think that this is perfectly okay for a woman to wear too. I don't know if that's a popular opinion, but it certainly is my opinion. When my son came into town, I insisted that he walk into a Sephora with me, and much to his reluctance, he did. And I was able to spray him just one time with this cologne, and he also thought it was a beautiful fragrance. And it is moderate lasting and moderate sillage. Please do yourself a favor, get your nose on Jo Malone, Cypress and Grapevine. Enjoy that wonderfulness of cypress with that freshness, the woodiness and sweetness, slight sweetness of grapevine. And enjoy it and tell me what you think in comments. This is a fabulous fragrance. If you do not want it in your personal collection, you may actually want to buy this for a loved one, and certainly maybe for your husband, boyfriend, son. It's an absolutely great fragrance, and I think I've said enough about this one. Let me mention again the name, which is Cypress and Grapevine. All right, the next fragrance we're going to sample, I'll tell you about it, is going to be number 5, and this is Vetiver and Golden Vanilla. I'm not sure when this was introduced. I did not see this on Sephora's website, or at least in the store when I went, I should say that. Top notes are cardamom, grapefruit tea. Middle notes are vetiver, lavender, clary sage. Base notes vanilla, cistus, and labdanum. Even with their intense formulations, please remember that they are still colognes. I find the lasting power on most of them, including this one, is not really beyond a moderate projection and gets softer. The sillage is softer after a couple of hours. This is unisex, but more masculine leaning to me. It says Vetiver and Golden Vanilla, and I do think this is a great scent, and I do think it's a great masculine scent. And I don't know if there's a coincidence, maybe there is, or this is designed more for the masculine taste, because this bottle is also that dark green and not the red. It is a dark green like the Cypress scent that I spoke to you about previously in number 4. And it is a very nice fragrance. It is not necessarily for me. If you're willing to respray during the day and perhaps pair it with a more feminine, sweet body butter or body oil, then this would certainly be something you could create to your own unique tastes. It's designed to heat up with your body and produce a scent that is individual and unique to you. This one is not that sweet vanilla that I like. Not everything has to be super sweet on the vanilla gourmand side, but to me this one seems like more of a scent, vanilla scent, than a man may prefer. I asked my husband his opinion on this scent, and he said he didn't like it, and he would not necessarily be one who would wear it, and he didn't really like it on me. So unfortunately, I think this one was a blind buy fail, and it will be making its way to be returned. So I definitely say get your nose on it. It does have that grapefruit in it, so you might be able to amp up that fragrance by using a body butter or a body oil in a grapefruit scent. You can also amp it up with another vanilla or a vetiver. Clary sage is a very unique note and a fragrance for me. I know I mentioned before that Perfumes de Marly had a fragrance with clary sage in their women's line, and it was called Sedberry. I did not like it, but because of the price I paid for it a couple of years ago, I decided to pull it out. It was in the white bottle, and I kept using it, and I found that I loved it so much, I called Perfumes de Marly to see if they were going to be discontinuing it, because I noticed it seemed to be on sale quite a bit. And they assured me that none of their women's fragrances would be discontinued. Well, about 7 months later, it was discontinued. I could no longer find it. I have very little left in my bottle, and I'm savoring it just by spraying it on very occasionally and usually on fabric so it will last longer. And I can't help but think it's because of that clary sage, because I do get that clary sage note here in vetiver and golden vanilla, and that part of the fragrance I do enjoy. However, I do think it's masculine leaning, but you can try it and somebody within your family will probably very much enjoy it. The next to the last fragrance that I actually have in my possession that I'll be showing to you is the Tuberose Angelica. I picked this knowing that I would absolutely love it. It's a fall, winter, spring scent, unisex but more feminine leaning to me. It's a midnight garden with tuberose blooming, and that is certainly the fragrance I get. But however, in here, while Angelica is a green note, this comes out very sharp to me. The Angelica is in the top note, the middle note is tuberose, and the base note have the amber and the woodsy note. This also is in a green bottle, and to me this is feminine leaning though. It's a beautiful green bottle, and their bottles are pretty substantial, and their tops are, I believe, metal, and it does have a very nice sprayer. And if you like a green bitter tuberose or the sharp notes of Angelica, then you may actually enjoy this. This is just a little bit too sharp for my nose. It actually gave me a headache the first time I tried it, and that is not easy to do with a fragrance. I asked my husband to smell it, and he visibly recoiled and said no. And when I tried to get him to smell it again, which he's always a good sport about, he's, I guess, someone who is now familiar. Before you ever sit down, tell me what you think about my scents. And if he doesn't tell me he's overwhelmed, then I just keep letting him smell different scents and getting his opinion on them. So he'll usually have to tell me after about 3, that's enough, I'm done. But he did not even want to try poor little Tuberose Angelica for a second time. And I do not really enjoy that. So that is also going to be leaving my collection, I'm sorry to say. The last fragrance that I purchased, or I got my nose on, but it's coming to me, is the Jo Malone newest scent, Hinoki Cedarwood. This is a fresh, aromatic, spicy, woody scent, fall, winter, unisex with a masculine lean. When I say a masculine lean in Jo Malone, it means probably one that I am going to end up wearing too, just like I do the Cypress and Grapevine. The Hinoki wood and cedarwood is just very smooth, it's very warm, and you may find it more masculine, but I just happen to really enjoy it. I can't give this one a fair review yet because it is en route to me. But I did so much enjoy just the little couple of 3 or 4, 5, 6 test sprays from Sephora that I did order it from Nordstrom's. And I know that I'm going to love it. And it is a masculine leaning scent, so I know my husband can enjoy it as well if he chooses to. My ranking of the Jo Malone fragrances from today, number 1 would be Cypress and Grapevine. Number 2 would be Scarlett Poppy. Number 3 is, I think, Hinoki and Cedarwood. The next would be Myrrh Tonka, which is funny since that's the one I originally thought I would make my number 1 choice and was supposed to be the first bottle I bought from Sephora, but it wasn't. The ones that I do not enjoy, but may be surprising, is the red Hibiscus. It's just not going to be staying in my collection. Also the Vetiver and Golden Vanilla. I just want a little bit sweeter vanilla and not so masculine leaning in my opinion. And I would prefer a little bit more lasting power and sillage. And lastly, Tuberose Angelica, 2 scents that I really thought I would love. And now the tuberose has settled down and is very recognizable as a realistic tuberose. Very enjoyable, actually. The Angelica does make it a bit sharp, so the Angelica in this particular fragrance I'm not enjoying. And as I said, this one I already made the decision would not be staying in my collection, and I just it's been confirmed to me by going in for another sniff. But thank you for joining me. If you'd like me to review another Jo Malone Intense fragrance, let me know what that would be, the Cologne Intense. And you may visit their website and take a look and see what sounds appealing to you, and then easily find those available at Nordstrom, Saks, Bloomingdale's, or Sephora, and see what appeals to you. Try before you buy. Thank you for joining me. Goodbye.